Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Stubs and Scrubs podcast. With you, as always, I am one of your co-hosts, Stu Coffee, and with me is another co-host, Nick Strum. How are you doing, Nick?
Hey, how's it going, Stu?
Good. Just drifting into the bushes.
Yeah. I love it.
Which
I love it.
is a good analogy. Not to get into it right away. Normally, we talk nonstop. How about this for a kickoff? Shrinking into the bushes. Red Wings have a chance to pull away into the wild card race.
The last two games.
A steamer in the band,
Yeah.
back-to-back regulation losses to the Blue Jackets.
Yeah. It's pretty
We're
crazy.
basically dead even tied, right? Or we drop below them, I think, with the second loss. It's
Yeah.
like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. And looked to maybe get a point out of last night's game before it was ripped from the...
And we do. Red Wings fans have a legit gripe about that missed call.
Yes.
It was a clear high stick, and then he gets a breakaway. Maybe Talbot should have had the rebound, but still, like, it was. He got hit right in the face. The rest staying right there. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like,
And they even
like a better team, right? They outshot him 45 to
yeah,
15 or
crazy.
something. But just
Yeah.
makes you wonder.
And then the fact that they got together after that goal, you thought they were maybe going to overturn it, but then, can you imagine 94,000 people going nuts when they overturn it, no goal, and it's a penalty?
Right. And then if I was understanding them right on ESPN, which I'm going to circle back on that a little bit. I forgot that is what I wanted to talk about at this podcast.
All right, let's get into it.
Is apparently, I thought the linesmen could make calls, right? They can come in and say, hey, you missed this over here. This guy did something dirty or whatever. Apparently, that's only if there's an injury on the play. And it's not just like, oh, that guy went down the tunnel, he's hurt. It's like somebody got, two-handed in the face, and then the ref stops the game because he's hurt. And then he said, I missed it. What happened? And the linesman comes over and says, oh, this guy just... And so that's how it has to happen. So it just basically goes down in the books as like, our bad, we missed it. Life happens.
Yeah, I think... I think that's how I kind of understood it too. I thought maybe they could only call a penalty on it, go back and call the penalty if the player got hurt or was bleeding. But maybe it was that the linesman could do that. I wasn't really paying attention. I was too busy yelling at the TV. But I don't know that I love that rule either because, and I get it, right? Hockey players play through all kinds of crazy stuff all the time. But, there have been instances in the past where a player gets suspended or a hit looks more vicious than it actually was because the other person gets hurt. And so I'm not one that's a big fan that's like, oh, he two-handed him in the back of the head, but he got right back up. So, not that big of a deal. No, there was clear intent to injure in that particular. I'm not saying this was last night's thing, but just as an example. But then if you come in just a touch late, bang bang play, hockey's a high speed game, and you lay a guy out and he lays on the ice, but it was maybe a clean hit. If he pops back up, maybe it's a no call, but because he lays there, now this guy gets a penalty. Either the hit is a penalty or not.
Yes, I agree.
I don't necessarily love that we have to see, how much damage was inflicted or how hurt the player is to justify, what the punishment is.
Yes.
I mean, clearly last night was a high stick. They saw it. They even went back. Now, is that one of those things that is maybe non-reviewable? I don't know all the ins and out of that. I do know that, just kind of comparing it to the NFL, I don't think penalties can be challenged or reviewed necessarily. And maybe that's something that, I don't know how big of an issue it is that it's going to get looked at in the NHL. But maybe that is something that should be, Todd McClellan should be able to throw the challenge flag and say, hey, go back and look at that. That was a penalty. You missed it.
Yes. And you know what is a good kind of, I don't know, stipulation to it is high sticking is the easiest one. They changed the rules, right, where they can review it and say it was a follow through on a shot or actually your own teammate hit you.
Yeah.
Our bad, no penalty. Sucks that your teeth got knocked out, but that's not a penalty.
Yeah.
And so that rule, even if you don't get really seriously hurt, is really easy to check the video and say your stick hit the guy in the helmet. That's a
Yeah.
penalty. You know what I mean? Where like
And
a roughing and even a tripping could kind of be like, well, the ref saw it live and said no. So what are we
and
doing
that's
here?
where you make it one of those things where it has to be clear and obvious. And so if you challenge the penalty and the refs go back and say, yeah, it's not real clear, it's not real obvious, we're just going to go with the call that was, or the ruling that was called on the ice. We're not going to overturn it. We're just going to stand, right? Because even in the NFL, they have either the play stands or the play's overturned or
Overturned,
confirmed.
right? Yeah, you got to like,
You got different language for what they can tell.
right, like if they say it's a catch, you have to have clear evidence that it wasn't in his hands to
Right.
overturn it. But if they would have said
Yes.
that was no catch, then they might
Yeah.
have said, yeah, it looks like no catch.
Yeah. So and you keep the rule that you challenge it and
Yeah.
you don't get it. Okay, you lose your timeout, and now it's a delay a game penalty on the team that challenged. You know,
Yes.
it,
And
don't
I guess,
just give them something that they can just throw the challenge flag for.
right.
Whatever.
You
There's
don't
got to
want
be some sort of risk for it. But you're telling me that if that play was reviewable and was able to be challenged, that Todd McClellan wouldn't have done that last night.
right, exactly. And it's, I don't know, it's one of those things where it, the ref misses it. It's understandable in the sense of like, well, as a whole, as the sport. I kind of like that a little bit. Baseball has a little bit of that, like definitely strikes and balls, right?
Yeah,
Why don't they just have it like tennis, where it's in or it's out? Why don't why is there even an umpire? Well, the human element,
that's
can add
part
to
of
it.
it.
It's part of it, and I kind of like that to some degree. But it's like we got four dudes on the ice. What are you
Yeah,
doing? Put a microchip in the puck to tell you offsides and a goal, then, and get those dudes out of the way. What? We got four people that are in the way all the time. The puck hits them in the shins. People try to go around them. They get in the way, and then they miss a breakaway with 2 minutes left. With the guy's stick hits him in the face and drags him down. Like there's four people on the ice, and I
yeah,
know only two call the penalty, but like then what, we can't challenge and you guys can't get it right? And there's never any accountability. No one has to go up in the stand and say, hey, what happened? And he says, oh, I totally spaced out because there's 2 minutes left. Whoopsie.
yeah.
Like, it's just ridiculous. And not to just complain about the refs too much, but there's a good example. Same day. The Bruins and the Penguins played in the morning or, afternoon.
Right.
And Marchant got hit from behind, and it was kind of on the side, right? He's going to the corner, and a defenseman named Joseph on the Penguins comes in at the same time. You can tell he gives him a shove right on his bicep, and he didn't toe pick, but like skates kind of came out from under him. So Marchant just falls really weird. He's going like knees, pelvis into the boards, and he takes a shove and just boom, forehead right in the boards. I don't know if you saw it. So it looked kind of from behind, but he didn't get him on the numbers. It was just a weird fast play. Bang bang. Nailed his head. I mean, like it looked pretty bad. Okay. They don't start a fight. They don't cheap shot. Nobody goes and spears Joseph, and I can't remember who it was, but you take a number, you take a name later in the game, kind of caught him with his head down with a weird little traffic jam in the corner, and it was totally clean. But somebody on Boston freaking destroyed him. Shoulder on shoulder, just sent him flying, and he left the game.
Mm.
Hurt Joseph and Marchant came back. Now I'm curious if Joseph, why would you put him back on the ice
Yeah.
and just get headhunted? But it was like, see, that was some old school hockey where it was like no call on either play, but the players didn't like it. They didn't have to start a fight or start anything cheap, but they took care of business and let them know, hey, you just sent our captain down the tunnel. We're not going to stand for that.
Yeah.
But it was surprisingly like old school hockey. It was really good, and when it's a missed call that's a high stick at the very last seconds of the game, it just sucks because it's like there's not even any way to like get retribution either. It's just kind of the game's over,
Yeah.
and Wings probably should have won that game, maybe deserved to win that game, but didn't. And you can only make excuses for so long. We're getting close to the playoffs, and it's like,
Right.
okay, the Blue Jackets and the Red Wings are almost not playoff teams. I mean, are you going to be able to do this? Calls aren't going to go your way. Are you going to be able to beat the Capitals in round one? Doesn't look like it. So
Yeah.
the Wings played okay, and I think that the Andrew Kopp injury is pretty bad, right? Because when he's out, I know he's not the best player in the whole world, but he's the line two center, and then you got the big young kid Rasmussen. He's out, so it's like, okay, you got some center depth just disappearing from the lineup, and then you outshoot a team 40-20, and you can't get the W. So it sucks. I didn't want to totally belabor the whole podcast, but we obviously are Red Wings fans. So
Yeah.
an outdoor game that has that much playoff implications is like you gotta address it, and then to end on that is such a bummer because they come from behind and tie it up late. So you're
Yeah.
thinking now I get overtime,
Yeah.
and then just
I wonder if and I kind of hate getting into the weeds of like rules as far as like, well, in this instance you can do this or that or whatever, but I wonder if you make it and last night was a very specific example, but if you make it that you can't cuz if there's a goal, you can go back and challenge the offsides.
right,
If it happened 2 minutes earlier,
right,
they've been in the zone for 2 minutes, they score a goal, and then you say, no, 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 no. 2 minutes ago, they were offsides. Goal shouldn't have happened.
right.
So then I wonder if it's like you can only challenge penalties on like if a goal is scored.
Okay,
But
right,
then it kind of throws it off because it's like, well, in the second period, last night would have been a great time to do that. But if it's the second period in a close game, tie game, and you feel like they missed a call and you want to challenge it to get the power play, well, now, that also gives you an advantage for that. You shouldn't have to wait until they score to then say, well, that was a penalty that you missed
right,
because a penalty, leading to a power play could change the swing of the game as well, the momentum and stuff. So,
right.
but then you have these stipulations of, well, you can only challenge a penalty if a goal was scored. I
Yeah,
don't really like
it's
getting into
real,
all the,
and
it's
it's
got to
hard
check
because
off
like,
all these boxes before you can challenge it.
and it's weird because like since hockey is a free flow game, kind of like basketball, it's like
Yes.
football has natural stops every down,
Right.
right? So you can say, well, hold on a minute. I think this was that. Or
Yeah.
I don't know if you can challenge a missed call so much as they call a penalty and you say, no, 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 hold on. I don't think so. Or,
Yeah.
I don't know all the football rules, but it's like in hockey, you'd have to almost implement
Yeah.
that you can take the red flag out, right, and throw it on the ice and be like, stop the game right now, blow the whistle right now, and I'm going to tell you over here, number 16 did this. It's a little weird.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. Honestly, in the grand scheme of things, they're probably not going to change anything.
Yeah.
You think of all the games that are played, all the plays within those games, and it just happened on a big stage last night
Yeah.
against our team, so that's why we're
Our
kind of harping
team.
on it.
So
But
then you get mad.
uh, you know, and I'm like you, I do like the human element to it. Um, uh, you know, Hockey is a little different than other sports, but in baseball, I love the human element. You know where the pitch, especially the strike zone, and I feel like they're kind of gonna get away from that, and they want to go with this automated thing or whatever. But it's like, no, you know that this umpire calls a little bit bigger of a strike zone, or keep throwing strikes, work your way out, and see where he's gonna start calling it a ball, and then bring it back in. Use that, like that's part of the strategy and the thing for baseball.
Right.
Hockey might be, a little different than that, but still, how refs are going to be calling the games. Are they going to let us play? How tight are they going to call this game? And missed calls do happen, um, but I do like the human element to it. And I do want to say that I believe Todd McClellan even said after the game last night, like, obviously disagreed with the call, but we shouldn't have even been in that position, So if it gets to a point where you got to blame a ref, and this happens with my son's hockey games too. The last one we were at, there was only one ref.
Yeah.
He, did he miss some calls? I don't know if you could say he missed some, but there were some that probably could have gone either way. And so
Yeah.
from the stands or the bench, it looks like, oh no, that should have been this. But you're expecting one ref to keep up in a high school game.
All the icing and offsides and everything.
Hey man, it's not gonna be a perfect game, and you just have to realize that. So I don't like um, I don't like the missed call last night. I do think that it's kind of a lazy excuse to always blame the refs. Not saying
Yeah.
that they can't uh, influence the game. I'm not going to say that, but you know, you play the game. There's 60 minutes of playing time.
Yep.
You know,
It's yeah, because the goal was last minute and it was a
it
miniature breakaway that was the
right,
game winner. That's the prize. If you
right,
miss a
yeah,
call like that in the neutral zone 8 minutes into the game,
right,
well, okay, well maybe the Red Wings scored on that power play and won the game.
yeah,
Okay, I don't have a crystal ball. That nobody's complaining unless it's the last minute of it.
yeah,
So I know that it's a hard job and all that to get it right and everything, and you can't blame the refs. But it's just a bummer when it's like you needed to split. At least
yeah,
when we lose, the first game was actually pretty close too, even though the score wasn't.
yeah,
I don't know if you watched that one, but that was like boom, 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 same similar thing. The Jackets scored like 3 goals real fast
yeah,
and they just basically never got back into it. And it was like, oh, here we go again. And so
right.
then when the Wings come back and tie it up, I'm all revved up, and then the missed call goes to it. But all that to say, Wings first tie it up 1-1, and I already recorded a little rant because I don't really like to do those. I always think it's awkward, like you're just talking to yourself on your phone. I guess I'm old, but it's like I record it to be like I'm gonna have to post this later somewhere because I couldn't believe it. I was sitting there, old man yelling at cloud,
hmm
and so they did it earlier in the game, and they did this thing called like the best seat in the house or something. You saw that? They had a guy on there. I can't think of his name. He's famous. Everyone else would know him. I just don't watch a lot of college football. So he does the ESPN coverage for college football.
Okay.
And so they had him out there with his family and his dog. So they
Herb
had his little
Street.
dog there. Yeah.
Herb Street.
Yeah, yeah. So they had him there, and everyone's loving it, I'm sure, right? They're at a football stadium. It's Ohio State. They just won the national championship. I get
Yeah.
it. Their only loss of the whole season was Michigan, right? Upset. So, right, it's like I get the football coverage. That's fine. I know that I'm watching an NHL hockey game, and they're going to talk about football a lot. That's okay. They're talking to this guy, and it's like, I mean, real time, it had to be 6 minutes, 8 minutes of an interview. And you're watching the game probably for 3 to 4 minutes of gameplay with no announcing, none at all whatsoever. It's like the TV's on mute and you're listening to a podcast. They are interviewing this guy about different things with college football and how is his dog doing and his family, and which is fine. But I'm like, dude, the play's going. You do
Yeah.
this at intermission. What's happening? And
Exactly.
so it was crazy to me. So then they do it again with somebody else. I can't remember. And this time I was ready for it. So I got on my phone to record and couldn't believe it that I was actually doing it live. A power play starts for the Red Wings. So I said, I'm going to time it. We got 2 minutes. Time it. So whatever it was, right? The Wings score. So it's like 50 seconds into the power play they score.
hmm
The whole first time with the doggy, there was a 2-on-1 Red Wings, no announcer. Then there was a weird turnover, kind of baby breakaway, no announcer. Then the whole power play and the power play goal, silence.
Mm.
So when they scored the goal, they kind of cut him off, and they were like, "Oh, the Wings have tied it up on the power play." Came to
Yeah.
DeBrincat or whatever, and they're like, and it just was so impressively bad to me, the ESPN coverage, because it was very obviously planned.
Mm.
They did it. called it like the best seat in the house, and they weren't really sitting there. They'd have them come down with folding chairs right on the glass, and
Yeah.
they'd do the interview during the game. It was on purpose. It was planned. And then I'm watching Emily Kaplan and Kevin Weeks. They're doing interviews on purpose of people that know each other, right? So Larkin and Werenski, right? And these guys, like, there's several of them that all went to the University of Michigan. They know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Red Wings and Blue Jackets both. Perfect TV. Easy. I understand it.
Yeah.
Of course you're going to say Larkin and Werenski played together since they were 8 years old.
Yeah.
That's a cool story. Cool. Okay. But they do this thing that I swear it's like somebody thought was super clever. They would be interviewing whoever, and then I'd pass it over to Nick. Okay, Nick, now to you. But they wouldn't like finish the interview. I don't know if you saw this one, but I think that Emily's interviewing Werenski. Blah 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 blah. What does it mean to you to blah 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 playing this outdoor game? Such a special opportunity. Oh, what's Ohio mean to you guys? Nah, 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 nah. Then she goes, now, Kevin, I know that you've got one of Zach's closest friends, but probably not friends today on the other line. And it just cuts over. Okay, Nick. And now you're interviewing Dylan Larkin.
Mm.
But Zach Werenski is standing there like, what'd you say? They didn't say thank you for doing the interview, have a great day, best luck, tell your family we love them. Just like transitioned it, and then they did it again later with somebody else, James Van Riemsdyk, about you've played in the most outdoor games of anyone in the league. Kevin's got the second most in the league, Kevin. And they're just like, oh, I guess the interview's over. And then the TV just cuts to Kevin Weeks interviewing Patrick King. And I'm like going crazy watching this. And I don't know. I know I'm ranting, but I feel like most people watching this game had to be with me.
Mm.
How can ESPN suck so hard on it where I want to tread lightly, but Johnny Gaudreau's family is there. They're doing special things for Johnny Gaudreau. And they bring his wife on national television. And the first question is, I just want to know, how have you been? How are you doing through everything? Like, no offense, but are we sitting down to a session with your therapist? This is, quite frankly, inappropriate. You should sing, like, what does it mean to you to see 90,000 people chanting for your husband, And it's obviously emotional, but don't you want to spin it to say, like, how does it feel to have a great city come together and love your family and love hockey and love Johnny and everything he stood for, instead of like, let's get in the weeds. How have you been? Like, Mark Messier, thank God, tried to save it. He just said, we just want to say thank you. The whole hockey community, ESPN, everyone, that you've made yourself available, that you come on TV, that you do interviews, that, you let us express to you how much Johnny meant to us. I was like, thank God Mark Messier is there to try to. This ship is on fire and slamming into the dock. It's like. So, anyways, there's my rant. I don't know what that was, 10 minutes, but
it's all right.
I can't believe how good of a game it was and how bad the broadcasting was. You shouldn't notice the broadcaster unless they elevate it. We just talked about the Miracle Game, how it elevates it.
Yeah.
Doc Emmerich, right? Doc Emmerich elevating NBC playoff coverage for years and years and years. I shouldn't be sitting there going, I'm going to watch this game on mute.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how you felt, but I couldn't. It was distracting me so bad.
Yeah, I mean, it was going to be part of the, a lot of football stuff. The Ohio State, it's, they did a lot of that on purpose. The Michigan team versus the, team from Ohio to tie in the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry and all that stuff. I had actually contemplated for a little bit trying to go to that game.
Ooh.
Just because
there was a lot of Winston there.
I've never been to an outdoor game before. And if you're going to go, I feel like a football stadium is the one to go to, not a baseball stadium. I hate when they do outdoor games in baseball stadiums. Half the seats are terrible. Even in a football field, you're going to want to sit up so that you can see the ice the ice is going to be so far from the stands
I
that
ball. Yeah,
it's definitely a made for TV event. If you do go, you're going for the atmosphere and what you're not really going to watch the game necessarily. You're just going for the buzz and to be there and all the
yeah.
festivities and everything with it.
Festivities. Yep.
So it's like, all right, how much is this really, you're spending way more money on a ticket than you normally would. You're sitting nosebleed outside. Now, I don't know how
Ready
cold
for
it
warm.
was, but you're
I think they
sitting
said it
up
was
in the
20.
stands and yeah. And just I've been to a few NFL games and the crowd is just, I mean, way more than a hockey game. You're talking
Right.
18, 20,000 for an NHL game.
Oh,
Now, an NFL game just at a stadium, I mean, you're talking 80,000 or whatever, but 94,000 people at that game. I don't want to deal with
yeah.
traffic. I don't want to deal with all the parking and that part of me, because I'm an old man now, was just like, dude, it's not going to be worth it. You're going to get so frustrated and be so irritated. How long would it have taken me to leave the stadium last night? I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
just can't, you
Two
know,
hours. And
ugh.
then how far is it? You'd have to go to a hotel. It's 6 hour drive, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd be a 6 hour drive.
Yeah.
Um, so, you know, part of me is glad I wasn't there. The other part of me is like, man, it is kind of cool to like experience that, especially for like a team that is your team, right?
Yes.
I'm not going to go just to any random Winter Classic. They had it in St. Louis and Chicago before, and I wanted to go to the Wings Chicago one, the like second one they had, but just didn't work out. But Blackhawks Blues Winter Classic, even though it's an hour and a half down the road, just does nothing for me.
Right.
I don't like either team. It's at a baseball stadium. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Uh,
I bet you there was maybe 10% of the fans there were wearing Cardinal stuff too, by the way.
oh, for sure.
Not
Yeah.
to
No.
make fun of St. Louis too hard. I'm not a huge fan of the city, but I know most people are.
Yeah.
Our
So
listeners, if you're from St. Louis, be honest with yourself. 20% of your fans are just bored Cardinals fans, waiting for
yeah,
the Cardinals
waiting for
season.
baseball season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so it does have a certain appeal. I think the game, I don't know. I think they do too many outdoor games. That one last night, maybe it's just because I'm thinking of the Red Wings, but I thought it was pretty cool. You bring the cannon
You
there.
brought the cannon was
I
cool.
mean, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
And they
Um,
got a little lucky, right? That it was like the Four Nations did so well, and then you got people like Larkin, Werenski just were teammates 2 seconds ago. They
yes.
grew up
Yep.
together. Now
Yeah.
the teams are exactly tied in the standings for wild card
Right.
one
So
and two.
that game had meaning to it. This in
So
the
it was a
meeting in the
home run, but
standings.
it was like a little luck,
Yes. Yeah.
right? I
You had
mean,
the Johnny Gaudreau thing. Did you see where they were the banner like
Banner
commemorative
went
went
around.
around the stadium?
That was awesome.
So a lot of cool things with this one. A lot of things, like you said, the league got lucky with. As far as teams being competitive and stuff, I don't mean that with the Johnny Gaudreau stuff, but I'm glad that they included them. And I sent you a message after the game last night that the coach for Columbus is got to
Oh,
be, if not the front runner, he is for sure in the conversation for the Jack Adams Award, Coach of the
has
Year.
to be. Has to be. I don't
Um,
even know other than is it Carberry? Spencer Carberry? Yeah.
yeah, for the
Those are the
Caps.
only two. The Capitals and the Blue Jackets.
Yeah,
I couldn't even think of another person that would even remotely be considered.
yeah,
Yeah, other than maybe Todd McCullough gets third place.
yeah.
If the Wings make the playoffs,
If
I
the
think
Wings make
he's
the playoffs.
probably three. If the Blue Jackets make the playoffs, I think that should probably be the winner. And the Caps going from shouldn't be in the playoffs, they got in on some bogus technicality, to
To President's
radically by
Trophy.
far the best
Yes.
in their division and probably going to win the President's Trophy.
They probably will be the most improved team from last year.
Yeah, because I think they're going to go from a ridiculously negative goals for a 500 average to like they're going to put up 100 and something
Yeah.
points, 120 maybe at this pace.
Yeah.
I mean,
So, but yeah, I mean, overall, I thought last night was a good, good
yeah,
game. Good for the league. But let's not overdo it. I mean, a Winter Classic and one outdoor game a year is probably the limit. You
I
when they
agree.
when they made these things, it was supposed to kind of be that. Uh, sort of just this is a unique thing that we do. We're not going to do it all the time because then it's going to lose its, uh,
Yeah, there used to
luster
be
a little
one
bit.
year,
So
I think, and maybe the heritage was right away, right? So it was like, okay, we got one that's the big one, and then we got one that's Canada only, and it was
yeah,
like, okay, fine, that's
yeah,
okay. There's 6 teams in Canada. Everyone knows that Canada is the big dog still in terms of player representation.
right,
If you took all the whoever the Stars versus Seattle Kraken, it's like, see how many players are born in Canada. They're
yeah.
still mostly Canadians,
But I
so
mean,
I get that.
the Heritage Classic is right between two Canadian teams.
So you can only do it 3 of them, right?
There's only 7 teams. Are
The
you making it that it's a Canadian team versus another Canadian team, or is it just that the
one
home
Canadian,
team is a
yeah,
Canadian
the
team?
home team, right? So then, right there, you should already stop. Basically, right? There's 2 a year. What are they doing? Like 7 or 8 some seasons?
Sometimes it can be a little crazy, and I understand like the year
It's
they had
crazy
it in
money.
LA or New York, where it's like, okay, we got it in New York. Let's have the Rangers, Islanders, and Devils all play a game. Okay, it is expensive and it's a lot of work to go to putting that rink up for that. So if you can get, when they had it in LA or whatever, the Kings, the Ducks, the Sharks all got to play in it. So
Yeah,
I understand wanting to, kind of get your money's worth out of the whole event and, you put up this rink for things but sometimes it just kind of dilutes the product of what it was supposed to, be
yes,
and intended to be. So, I don't know that I got to fix. I'm just saying do the Winter Classic. And then if you want to do the Heritage Classic, make that, fine. The home team can be a Canadian team. And I think one year it was the Leafs and Red Wings where it was actually a Heritage Classic, not a Stadium Series. Or well, maybe it was a Stadium Series, and one year it was a Winter Classic.
I
I
think
think in
Wings and
Michigan,
Leafs had one
at the Big House was a Winter
Winter
Classic,
Classic.
I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah,
And then I think when we played Toronto again in an outdoor game, it was a Heritage Classic, maybe. But keep
yeah,
it to Canadian teams or original six teams or, something. And if you want to do the Winter Classic and then flip flop okay, this year we got the Heritage Classic. Next year it's going to be a Stadium Series.
yeah.
And just kind of, rather than
100%.
trying to do it all every season,
And
it's,
like we had talked about, if you did one in Europe, I mean, it's a little hard with schedule, but like those type of destination things, like they did with Lake Tahoe, is like that. That to me is cooler than throwing a rink in the outfield of a baseball stadium, and we've seen it 20 times.
because now they're going back to the same venues.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, well, now it's just whatever. This time the Blackhawks are going to play the Wild, and they're going to lose 7-1.
Yeah.
Yay! Like, who cares, man? Just like take Montreal and whoever, I don't know, Dallas, and throw them in Paris or something. Like, do something different, or just cut them down. Like you said, when there's too many, it waters it down. And yes, last night was a fantastic game and it was special, but there was some luck involved. There
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't our favorite team and the score was coming into the season, everyone assumed the Blue Jackets would be near the bottom and they
Yeah.
assumed the Red Wings would be a bubble. Okay, well, if the Red Wings win 4-1 and they're in 10th place and the Blue Jackets are in last place, no one watches. No one cares.
Right.
It was this close to being a belly flop. They kind of got lucky that it was such a good event. And they've had, whatever, 30 of them that are basically belly flops because what was the Winter Classic this year was garbage. I mean, did you watch that game? It was so bad.
Yeah.
It was I think the Blues destroyed the Blackhawks and it was still boring. It was like both
Yeah.
teams suck. This game's not close. It's not exciting. It was like, oh. Just anyways, that wasn't even the whole point of the rants. It was just I enjoyed the game. Sucks that the Wings lost, and then I couldn't believe how bad the coverage was. When you can flip over to TNT or Sportsnet if you get it. If you get Sportsnet, watch Sportsnet. If you can watch the Canadian one, I mean, I don't know how, but if you can do it, do it.
Yeah.
But it's like it's so much better. It just is mind-boggling to me
Yeah.
that. Anyways, moving on from that,
All right. Moving on.
what else is going around the league? The Ovechkin goal race. How about this? It's getting so close. The Lightning not so difficultly dismantled the Caps. What did they win 4-1?
3 or 4 to 1. Yeah.
Yeah. Ovechkin goal. Don't
Yeah.
care. Don't care. Ovi scored. Don't care.
Yeah.
All the highlights, and it was a good goal. All the highlights are like 12 away. Ovechkin again. I'm looking at the score going, the Lightning won, but
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
And the Lightning have been on a hot streak, so look out. They
I
can
wouldn't
get
want to play them.
scary
I
this
would
time
not
of
want to
year.
play them if I
Yeah.
was whoever, the Panthers, the Leafs, the
Yeah.
Capitals. They look
But
a little scary.
yeah, Ovechkin's got what, 5 goals in his last 3 games or something like that, or three,
Or
four, five,
or
five, five
4 and
goals in 4
3, yeah,
games or something.
something like that.
5 goals in 4 games. Yeah. I mean, just tearing at a pace that is just unbelievable. I think a lot of people thought he would kind of slow down by this time.
Yeah.
And I still kind of think that, once he gets single digits, especially like if he's 4 or 5 away, I think maybe it starts to get a little harder. I don't know if he's feeling the pressure or not. Doesn't seem like it. Um,
He's almost the type to just get more.
just,
Like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
I need 5. I can do that tonight.
yeah.
You know,
And I love that the last few haven't been empty netters. That one against Edmonton, did you see his empty net goal against Edmonton
I didn't see it
to
happen.
complete the hat trick?
Yeah,
I don't know who it was. Someone. So the Caps, were winning 6-3. I think Edmonton pulls their goalie with like 2.5 minutes to go.
yeah.
Ovi's out on the ice. Dude takes a shot, breaks a stick. Puck goes to Ovi. He just shoots it from behind his blue line, just fires it in the net to complete the hat trick. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's one thing to get like a breakaway, empty net goal, but it's like, okay, well, an empty net from behind your own blue line,
Right.
like
That's
just
150 feet
lasering
away.
it in there.
Laser beam.
It's like,
And
okay. And he had 2 legit goals in that. I mean, empty net
yes,
still counts, but like he had 2 other goals that game. So it's
100.
not like he's just getting to the record by scoring empty net goals.
And
So
I think we've said it on the podcast before. The Messier guaranteed victory game, he goes and gets a hat trick and they win.
yeah,
Well, it was an empty net to complete the hat trick. No one cares.
yeah,
He's a legend. It's,
right.
but anyway, I kind of cut you off, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So yeah, I mean, just the fact that Ovi is just still on this pace, and they can go a game and score 8 goals, and Ovi doesn't have a single point, and
Right.
then they lose, and there's only 1 goal. So the Caps only score 1 goal, but it's Ovi. That's all anyone's talking
That's
about.
all I'm saying, man.
But so yeah, I think I still think he's going to break it this year. I don't know that maybe he stumbles for a couple games when he gets kind of close, but man, he's still just a sniper, dude. And I think when you are that uh, talented and still that deadly with it, he's still got it. He's not slowing down. So I I still like my prediction of April 4th
Yeah.
against the Blackhawks. I would not be upset though if he does it March 27th against the Wild, because that is the game that Eli and I are going to in Minnesota. And that is 12 games away.
Which
He's got
as a
11
whole
goals. He's
game,
11 goals away. So
you can
even
do
to
that.
see him like tie the record would be awesome. If we don't see him break it, I mean, you have to figure. I got tickets to that game, and if he's within 3, that's all I'm
Oh,
asking for. If he's within 3, just knowing I'm going to a game and there's the possibility that he
yeah,
it's just going to be phenomenal. Um,
absolutely.
Yeah, so I have tickets to that game, and then I also have tickets to because I didn't get the outdoor game tickets. Capitals in Columbus on like April 12th.
Ooh,
So, and the one time I looked, I won't say that's where they're at right now, but there's always this tracker of like the date that he's going to break the record based on his current scoring
yeah.
pace. At one point in time, maybe a week ago, April 12th against the Blue Jackets was the game that he was on pace to break the record.
Oh,
Now,
I'm
of course,
so
if he goes out tomorrow or whenever they play next and he gets a hat trick, well, now that gets bumped up a little bit or, whatever. But so I got those tickets. Kind
listen.
of, I won't say gambled on it, but it was like, listen, I got to get these tickets when they're in my price range.
Well, right, because if he's three away, they're gonna go psycho.
Go through the roof, yeah.
There, and you know
And
what?
they've actually already moved that game. That game was a night game, so it was going to work out, right? It's a 6 hour drive plus the time difference for me. So that
Yeah,
game was going to happen at 7. So it was like, boom, get up on a Saturday morning, drive to Columbus, do our thing. They've moved the game in anticipation, obviously, to a 12:30 start. More eyes on the game. You would
more
think that they would want it on in prime time,
prime time.
but that's probably when all the other games are going on.
Right.
So if you
That's
bump it up, earlier start time, now everybody can watch all the games. We can all watch Ovi on a Saturday. There's nothing else going on in mid-April. I mean, some
right. March
baseball.
Madness is over. There's
Yes.
no
Yes.
meaningful NBA. There's no football. Right.
So I we would just have to logistically change some things around. We would still make it work, depending on how close Ovi is. Also, depending on how much resale value is on those tickets, because
I know you want it. I know you want it, but
there's no way, dude. If he's that close, there's
I could see people doing that. See, that's the
I
type of thing.
told Eli. I don't know if I told Rochelle this, but I said until it gets to 10 times what I paid for the tickets,
Yeah,
we're going to the game.
I like that.
But if that price gets 10
10
times
times,
of what I paid for it, oh boy, okay, well,
then you might
I'll
have
think
to
about it. I'm not
think
saying
about
we're
it. Think
then
about it.
it's just going to be a little bit harder, but
You know
other
what?
than
It's
that,
on the recording now, so
yeah.
it'll be,
But it's going
you
to happen
tried.
on April
You
4th, so my
tried.
tickets it's going to happen on April 4th, so my tickets for April 12th are going to drop in price probably then, but who knows. But
That's a good point.
if he breaks it on the 4th, we're talking 894, right? Is the record, so he would have to score 895. April 4th, I mean, we could potentially see him score his 900th career goal. No
Ooh,
one
that'd
has
be
ever
super.
done that.
No one's ever done that. And
So,
depending on what happens, it's you threw out last week. What if he broke the record? What
mm,
if he got 900? What
yeah,
if he won the Stanley Cup and the Conn Smythe? Well, let's throw
yeah,
everything on
yeah,
900. Would he walk away early? Maybe not. But there is a weird situation where you could be at a game late in the season and he scores number 900 and number 901.
yeah,
And then you witness the last goal he ever scored.
yeah,
The
yeah,
playoffs don't count,
right,
right? And
right,
then he retires.
yeah.
Because I don't know when the regular season ends, but I want to say April 17th. So there is a
Shortly
chance
after, he's only got a
that
few games after the
two
12th, I
games
think.
after there's no goals,
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, what if he did? What if they won the cup and he said, "Best year of my life, see you later."
yeah. I don't
You
know,
could have
but
witnessed the last goal, the greatest goal scorer who ever lived, scored.
yeah, so we'll probably end up going to those two games, just because all the buzz and everything. I mean, it's fun to go watch Obi play. The last game we went to was, man, I'm trying to think. It had to have been the last one that we went to
Mm-hmm.
was the whole family on our way out east. We stopped in Columbus, Caps, Blue Jackets. Um, that wasn't this past Christmas. The one before?
Okay.
Yeah. And it was the one where like Merz Lickens and Tom Wilson kind of got into it in overtime in the net or
Oh
something
yeah,
and
yeah,
whatever, and then Ovi scored the game winner and like
yeah.
stared the
You
whole
stared
team
at him
stares
like,
down the goalie.
yeah,
Yeah, but we were at that game. That was in Columbus.
that's awesome.
So that was the last game that we went to. Funny enough, Caps in Columbus. So, but
Nice.
yeah,
Just
so
by
I like
chance too.
Columbus. I mean, we've been to that stadium. You and I have been to couple games at that
Two, I
stadium.
think, right?
We
Also,
saw the Wings in Columbus and the All Star game there.
yep,
So
yep. It's a good
uh,
little area. It's nice. It's honestly, I like Columbus. If it wasn't for the stupid black guys,
yeah,
then I would
if it
love
wasn't
that.
in Ohio, it's a great
If it
city.
wasn't in Ohio, I'd be all about it. And you know
But
what? Ohio, it's affordable. It's an okay place to live, raise a family, nice snow.
yeah,
It's Ohio. Oh wait, that's Michigan.
yeah,
Just a better version of the
yeah,
same thing. My bad. Which you know
but
what? Side note, because they don't get enough love. I always joked when I lived in Illinois, and a lot of people kind of live their whole lives there, right, and don't travel very much. I'm not talking about Chicago for the
yeah,
listeners. There's the small town Illinois. It's not that bad. Life's okay. It's kind of boring, but like life's affordable, and there's good people and all this. Okay, well, Illinois, because of the high population and because of Chicago and different things, it has pretty high taxes and blah blah blah. If you enjoy the small town vibe of Illinois, just move to Indiana.
mm,
It's the
yeah,
same state, but better.
yeah,
People just won't admit it. Indiana gets no love because Chicago's in Illinois. But
yeah.
just if you like small town Illinois, just go across the border.
Oh
Indiana's
yeah,
just the same thing but cheaper.
yep.
It's anyways.
But yeah, I think Ovi breaks it this year. I don't see him kind of letting up,
No, I
and
don't either. And
it
you
just
would say, "Oh, I can't believe how good he was doing at the beginning of the year."
and
Well,
he's
I
already
mean,
missed a month.
you would think unless he gets hurt, he's going to break the record. Breaks his leg and still is going to break the record.
Yeah.
He's a machine. How about this, though? I was doing some quick math in my head. They got 22 games left.
Okay.
So, rough math.
Yeah.
You're going to 2 games. Dude, you got 10% coverage.
Oof.
You got a
Yeah.
10% chance of seeing this happen. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I do like those
yeah,
odds.
you like those odds. I'm going to a game. I can't remember when, but not Caps.
Okay.
I'm going to one of the Red Wings Lightning game. I think they've got two
Nice.
left this year,
Okay.
and it is. Man, I can't remember. It's really close to April 12th, though. Might even be April
Hmm.
12th. Maybe the same
Okay.
day, which would be kind of cool if I was at the Lightning game and they're showing it on the jumbotron. Oh well, they
Oh
skipped
yeah.
time,
Yeah.
but that could be a must-win game for the Red Wings to go to the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
So
So
Dad and I are going to go.
you probably need Eli and I to come to that game because
Probably just to last
it
time we went,
seems
they
like
won.
when we go to the games in person, they win.
Hey,
Uh,
I don't know when your guys' spring break is, but trying to figure
yeah.
that one out, Rochelle. Just we got to do what we got to do for the team,
Right. Yep.
like that.
So
What was the other thing we had? A Red Wings trade, but it was just Billy Huso. You saw that one?
I did
Giving
see
away for
that.
free.
Yeah.
Okay, so they say future considerations is actually free, right? It's just getting rid of the player. It's not like some sort of, hey, later help me out. It's that you're not allowed to trade for nothing. So they make up this fake term,
Mm.
future considerations. But part of me feels like this is a real future considerations. Pat Verbeek and Steve Eisman say, I'll get you later. And I kind of feel like, nothing against Huso, but this helps Detroit, right? They got 6 goalies, and they just took off 2 or 3 million out of the books because I think he makes 5 million, but something
I
about
wanted to say he made north of
being
four
in
for sure.
but then he's like in the minors, and so I don't know what the actual hit was on the cap, but it's like
Yeah.
unfortunately Andrew Copp's hurt, and then Huso's gone, so it's like Wings have a whole bunch of money laying there.
Yeah. I
Question to
do.
you: do they buy, or is this a sit and wait type of a year?
No, I think they're gonna make a move or two before the deadline.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think they're at least gonna try. Whether or not something happens, I don't think Eiserman is a knee jerk reaction kind of uh, guy, kind of GM. He's probably already been kicking the tires on guys that he's got his eye on and a list of players he wants and needs that the team has. It did kind of surprise me that we got rid of Huso, but I mean the cap hit and we got a log jam in goal. Um, Sebastian Kosa's probably going to come up next year, I would imagine. I mean, he's your goalie of the future, so and
Yeah,
he's
I
with the
wouldn't.
Griffins right now. So
To be honest, I wouldn't be that surprised if I know Talbot's old, but he's playing well. Where it's like it's one of those weird things where this year you could see the obvious people probably is Tarasenko and either Cop or Comfer. Well, now one's hurt, so you probably don't want to move them.
yeah,
And so it's like you got your young guns playing well, Kane's playing well, and it's like the team's okay. I wonder
yeah,
if we almost also get rid of Lyon and say that you got Talbot as your guy and Kosa as your guy, and maybe that's a next year thing, not a right
yeah,
now trade deadline thing. But next year, I do feel like they're going to go, hey, Talbot's sort of our guy, but he is 40. So let's have Kosa play
yeah,
20 games and maybe have Jack Campbell play five.
yeah.
You know,
And I mean, the Wings, Eiserman has said, that, he expected to compete for a wild card spot this year. So he's not going to make a move thinking we're one or two pieces away from the Stanley Cup. But I
yeah,
could see, Dylan Cousins, his name's been thrown around there a while.
yeah,
I also saw that Elias Pettersson, Ryan O'Reilly, Braden Shin, there were some other guys,
yeah.
with Cop
Both
going
can.
down, we could use another good center. A defenseman are always good, to have. You can't have too many good defensemen. So does he make a move this year just to kind of help us get into the playoffs? And he knows, who knows what could happen. You round one upset or whatever, but the Wings aren't gonna win the cup this year. We know that. But if you can get these players some playoff experience, and a guy like Kane, if he's there and he sees, yeah, we made progress, we made the playoffs this year. Okay, we're moving in the right direction. He sticks around. You get some other vets maybe in the off season then that are like, oh yeah, the Wings are making progress. I want to go be a part of what they got going on there. So I'm not saying it's going to be a huge splash or anything like that, but I had seen too that Tarasenko was maybe a piece that they would move.
Yeah,
So do you move him and try to get younger somewhere else, but also can help you now? I do think Eiserman really wants this team to make the playoffs because man, playoff experience is something you can't replicate any other way than by getting to the playoffs. And I forget what game it was. Maybe it was in the Four Nations Cup where they said, and a lot of people were kind of slamming the commentators. I think it was just a comment, um, not necessarily a dig. But Larkin has only played in the playoffs once his rookie year.
yeah,
So if you can get these guys, these young guys, some playoff experience, Mo Sider, Edmondson, Rasmussen, Dylan Larkin, another go into the playoffs. I think that just goes a long way for them to get that experience, give them that boost of confidence, and just gives them more motivation, more hunger, more fire for next year. So
yes.
I do look for Eiserman to make a move to kind of help get us to the playoffs, but I don't know that it's going to be a huge splash. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I don't think that we're sellers, and I don't think that we, um, I don't think that we stand pat. The coaching move obviously kind of gave us a boost, propelled us into the conversation,
Like
and
not a
so
lame duck
we're
season,
we're
right?
right there. Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right.
It's not a lame duck season. We have a legitimate shot to get to the playoffs, and then who knows what'll happen. But
You never know.
uh,
In fact, I just want to kind of speak into the universe because I feel like we talked about it before, but we just vroom, 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 keep pushing this. Is
yeah,
the poetic justice of a round one President's Trophy
mm,
Capitals against the Red Wings
yeah,
and the Blue Jackets versus Tampa Bay Lightning upset.
mm,
I want not only to get in, I want to play the Capitals, and I want the Red Wings to win. People are saying they might not make it. They definitely can't beat anyone. If they play the Panthers, they're out.
mm,
Get a couple games of playoff experience will be good for the boys. Screw that. Yes, and
Yeah,
upset the number one team as justice for last year when the Wings should have gone in, but lost on a tiebreaker.
yeah,
And the tiebreaker was because that stupid empty net pulled with the tie game. It's like this is just the hockey gods giving retribution. Give us that matchup. I want Ovechkin to break the record. I want Ovechkin to hit 900 goals. I want them to win the President's Trophy and then lose to Raymond and Larkin and
yeah,
50-year-old Cam Talbot. I want all of that. And then whatever. You got to go play the Leafs or the Panthers or whoever next round. Or the Hurricanes. Maybe the Hurricanes decided to keep Rantanen and they said, we don't care if he's not going to sign. We're here to win the Stanley Cup. You don't know what will happen. The East
for
only
sure.
has two or three teams that are like locked in good. Every other team's kind of like,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. That's how I feel. I think the Leafs and the Panthers are the top two, even though the Capitals are in first. But I don't know. The Lightning look like they could take down any of them also. And
yeah. The
on
Lightning,
paper, like you still got the Rangers and whoever else, and the Hurricanes and the Devils. It's like the East is such a crapshoot. I
yeah,
don't know. Just get in. Just get in.
yep. Just get in. So who knows? It'll be fun to see, and I do think it kind of comes down to the last few games of the season. I think there's still going to be some wild card spots up for grabs that late into the season. So
Yeah, I think so. And really, I mean, there's a lot of teams. The Flyers, even the Islanders a little bit, and the Canadians are not gone yet.
yeah,
They're unlikely, but they're not gone yet. There's
hmm
20 games left. Anything can happen. It's crazy. The West is almost set. It's like the final two spots, but like
yeah,
the East is going to be wild to
yeah.
watch. So, Studs and Scrubs, I might pass it over to you first.
Let's do it.
Okay, you go here. I'm fixing my camera real quick.
All right. I'm going to start with a scrub. I got a couple of them today. I don't really know what the answer is and how to deal with them. In our league, our trade deadline has already passed, so you can't trade for these guys or trade away these guys. But my first scrub is going to be Elias Pettersson, and I'm talking about the one that plays offense or is supposed to play offense. Um, if you look, he's 92% rostered in leagues because he's Elias Pettersson. Uh, the last 30 days, he has done nothing. Um, I'm talking only 3 assists. He's a -6, and he's only had. I had to look at this a couple times because I still don't know if I believe it. In the last 30 days, he's only had 8 shots on goal. 8 in 30 days. Ovechkin
It gets 8 a game.
will have 8 a game. Exactly. Exactly. So the last time Elias Pettersson scored a goal, January 21st.
Wow.
And we're recording on what, March 2nd?
March 2nd.
So that's unbelievable. And I don't know if what that translates to in real life. I was reading some reports that like, okay, he's in this slump. Uh, you're not going to get much trade value back for him, right now, but he is still a threat and a star in the league, so he's not
Right.
nothing. But man, has he just
And
been
he's a big cap hit.
not doing anything right now. So, and like I said, I don't know what I mean. You can't drop him.
Right.
You just don't start him, I guess, if he's on your team. And that is kind of a. I wouldn't start him over anybody else, really, depending on who you got. But, if he's the only guy, if you got a spot for him because he's got a game and someone else doesn't, fine. But other than that, if it comes down to, okay, do I start Elias Pettersson or this other person? You're probably going with the other person,
Yep.
whoever it is.
Whoever.
But just been awful the last month. And I don't know if some of that's just some, uh, why is he struggling now? You think the locker room situation got better, right? He should be playing a little better than what he is.
Think.
But what's happening? I don't know, and like I said, I don't really know what to do with him because he's a player that you don't want to drop. You don't want anybody else picking him up when he gets hot because this dry spell isn't going to last forever. So eventually he's going to start to get pick it up a little bit. But man, has he been awful just for the last month. So I feel bad for the owners, fantasy owners of Pettersson because you're almost playing down a man.
And
You
he's
can't.
most
You,
likely one of your top picks.
yeah, and you can't drop him to pick someone else up. I wouldn't anyway. So he's just kind
Yeah,
of
I
on
wouldn't.
your bench. There's not another person you're plugging in for him, so you're just kind of riding with him. But that's who I got for a scrub, Elias
Especially
Pettersson,
if he
and
and I mean, if you're playing a keeper league and you want to risk dropping him, I would pick him up if he was available
yeah,
for sure. Because I'm going to pivot off of Stubs and Scrubs real quick because now I'm sidetracked. Next year, when he plays on the line in a power play with Lucas Raymond for the Red Wings, I'm going to have him in fantasy to light it
yeah,
up. No, but in a more serious thing, like you said, is this a type of person that, in your opinion, is now worth trading? Because I have egg on my face a little bit. I said, if you think JT Miller is a better player than Pettersson,
mm,
you're out of your mind. He's old, whatever. He's a bully. Everyone loves him, but he's going to rattle your cage. Okay, well, I did say that Rangers made sense. Zibanejad's been playing better. Did he go get in
yeah,
his face and say, "I'm sick of you wimpy Swedes"? I got Pettersson and now Zibanejad. You
yeah,
better score goals. And he went out there and he scored goals. He saw him fight Parayko and he said, "Okay, don't hurt
yeah,
me. I'll score." So it's working for the Rangers, but Pettersson's still out there not scoring. Deleted his Instagram, still not scoring.
yeah. I don't know what. I'm
Lighting
not sure
scoring.
what's going on.
Who are these streaky players over the years? Maybe like a Kadri, he's scoring. Pierre-Luc Dubois, probably the poster child of complaining about his surroundings and not producing. Doing great.
Yeah,
Line scored 12 goals in one game and then disappeared because the new video game's out.
right.
Doing great. I mean, all these even Haberdew kind of came back from the grave a little bit. I don't know what's happening to Pettersson, but if you're a Wings fan and it's 5 days from the trade deadline, do you think that's
Maybe.
a player that's worth getting? Because I feel like the Vancouver Canucks would only probably trade him if it was like you're going to eat $11 million, and the Red Wings can do that, and not a lot of teams can do that.
Yeah, I would not be opposed to that. I would kind of love it. I know he's not been playing great, but he definitely has the potential to.
Yeah,
And right, you can probably buy low right now, and this might not be, maybe a change of scenery, um, kind of sparks him a little bit. But also, if you trade for him, you're not really just trading for him for this year.
right.
So it's kind of the
It's a
long
long.
game move. But yeah, I would that would be awesome if the Wings traded for Pettersson. I wouldn't mind that at all.
I'm with you too because I feel like most people would still take him because he is still an elite player or has the potential to be one. But you see somebody like Havertz, is probably the best example. Is Barkov just that good
Mm,
that Matthews can get almost 100 points? He comes to Florida, he does even better. Haberdew gets 100 points and he drops down to like 50. That's
yeah,
crazy. Is Barkov that good? Same thing. You wonder, okay, Rantanen. Is McKinnon just that good? Or is it the combo of they played together for 8 years and Makar? Now you got
right.
McKinnon and Makar. And then Nietzsche's is doing well. Well, Colorado plays their first line like the whole game. So
Yeah,
you're going to get an uptick in production. Rantanen comes over and he says, hey, you're not the guy, even though you are the guy, you're our best player. You still have to play man-to-man defense, and I expect a 200-foot game, and you're going to play 18 minutes a game. And he's used to playing 26 minutes saying the only thing you do is score goals.
yeah,
So it's a little different. I get all that. My point is more, is Quinn Hughes that good? Because the problem's not Miller. then he's gone. There's no uptick in offense. You're the center. You're supposed to drive the line. Quinn Hughes is still out, or he came back and then he's out again. It's like, is Pettersson not capable of driving the line himself? Because I think we saw from Dylan Larkin he can drive a line. I think we saw Raymond that he's so deceptive. Someone like Mo Sider, they can control play. So I don't know if Vancouver has all those type of young elite stars except Quinn Hughes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like in a Red Wings uniform where Pettersson's price is at the lowest it will probably ever be in his career. Can the Red Wings say, we'll take $11 million off of your book plus whatever back?
Yeah.
Even a first round pick, to be perfectly honest, a first round pick for the Red Wings, they have a lot of young talent. It's time to move forward. We've been doing the young talent thing for a while, the picks.
Mm-hmm.
Most of Yzerman picks have been pretty good, especially round one picks. It's like you get somebody of that caliber, I think, whether it's Rantanen or it's Pettersson or, of course, Marner. Those are kind of the three big names, right? Marner's in the offseason more. But, I think the Red Wings can afford to try to get two people. And if there's any situation where you can get one of those three, I think you do it. Because like you said, it's not just this year. It's not just this playoffs. We're going to gamble 7 years on that player.
Yeah.
And yes, $11 million to throw away is stupid, but you got cap space. When the cap goes up, the Illich family is not going to be one of the ones who tightens their belt and says, ooh, we are not comfortable spending. That's how the Red Wings won all their cups. They just went out and bought everybody. Come on. So to me, I'm agreeing with you where I think this is a time to try to get him.
Yeah.
Because Rantanen, I feel like you'd have to give up someone like an Edmondson. You'd have to give up a young, potentially like fatal move to your franchise to say, we'll take Rantanen and give you a defenseman or something.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm not sure what Pettersson's contract is, but I don't see, Rantanen being a free agent. Yzerman's not going to try to go after him. He's not our one missing piece for a cup.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
Try to get him in July, maybe. If you can get him in July.
Yeah, in the off season, I wouldn't be shocked if the Wings, just kind of kick the tires on him. But, if Pettersson's still under contract for a few years and you can trade for him, you're going to want the player control.
In fact, I don't think his new contract even started yet.
Yeah, so
you got 8 years, I think, if you trade.
Yeah,
or 7.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting.
But that's where I'm hoping the long-term Cinderella story for the trades, I think, would be if somehow the Wings go get Pettersson because he's low, and then in the offseason, you just drive a dump truck of money to Mitch Marner's house.
Yeah.
And you say, Patrick Kane's going to come back for 1 year. You want to learn something from him? Plus, all of our best players are under 25.
Yeah.
And we're going to pay you more than McDavid or Draisaitl or whoever. We'll make you the number one player in the whole league because we can't really afford to negotiate the same way a whatever contender can. That, to me, I'm not a GM, but if I was Yzerman, I'd be saying, why not both? Try to get two people and spend out the nose for them for those select people, especially to me, Marner proved in the Four Nations that he's the number one best of those three, I think. If you can get Mitch Marner, pay whatever the hell you have to pay. Get Mitch Marner on your team.
Yeah.
Shy of Sider and Raymond and Larkin basically are my only three, and a few other young guys you probably want to keep. But those three, you keep those three in Kosa. Now you got a goalie, a D, a winger, and a center that are young.
Right.
And now you go get a legit actual superstar, or maybe two. Wings are in a good position. And we're back. Couple technical difficulties there. I think when we lost our contact with the homeland, we were talking about Rantanen. Okay, so my theory now is, I don't know how, because I don't know cap space and players, but somehow Shea Theodore got hurt in the Four Nations. The Vegas Golden Knights are going to get Rantanen and go win the cup again.
And they could. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if a team does that. I think I also saw that Matty Kachuk is maybe out for the rest of the season.
Oh, so
And now they just traded for Seth Jones. I don't know what the cap situation was, if Blackhawks are eating some of his salary or if it all got, um, Florida's taking it all on. I didn't look at the details too much, but so yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if a team pulls that move though, right? Of trading for Rantanen and
yeah,
and freeing up some cap space by doing a long term injured reserve type situation again. But yeah, I don't know.
let's see if I can see any details on the retained salary.
But I was
Um,
telling you earlier too that Carolina. So I think it was Pierre LeBrun was talking, and he said that Carolina should just try to win the cup with Rantanen. Right, the East is wide open. Go win a cup with him. If he walks after that, you got your cup. If you guys make a deep playoff run, maybe that's enough to convince him, to stick around. I do think I heard that he turned down an offer from Carolina. So I don't know what that whole situation behind the scenes kind of thing is, but you're not going to recoup the value in the next week for Rantanen. Teams know that if you're desperate, they're not going to offer you hardly anything for him. And with him being a free agent, your teams are limited, not just to playoff teams, but like I said, teams like the Red Wings who aren't interested in that good of a rental for what it would cost. Now, watch, I
right,
say that and they trade for him and then sign him, but who knows? Uh,
right,
but he's gonna. The only teams that I think are going to be interested in him are teams that think they have a legitimate shot at the cup,
yeah,
because he is a rental. So no team that is on the bubble is going to want to pay what Carolina's going to want back for him, with no guarantee that he's going to stay where he's at. So. Um, but is it Florida? Do they put Matty Kachuk on long term IR and they go get Rantanen from the Hurricanes? I don't know. Traded for Seth Jones. Uh,
You know what? And that could be. I just looked it up. Blackhawks are going to retain 26% of Jones' salary,
okay.
so, which is around 2.5 million. So there's this thing with Rantanen. Since he already got traded once, there was
Yes.
50% salary retained.
Yes.
You can do 50 again, so 75% is retained by other people,
Yeah.
right?
So you get him for a
I think it's 3 million,
couple mil.
maybe less. Yeah. So 2.5 million, however you make the books work, you got to give up a first and a second. Who cares? You're the Panthers. Your picks aren't super
Right.
valuable.
Your picks are late anyway.
And I've heard that this draft is one or two or three people good, and it's a little light. And the next draft is I can't remember his name, but he's kind of the Bedard,
Mm,
the Calabrini, the super good guy is the next one.
okay.
So if somehow the math works, dude, Seth Jones is fine player.
Yeah.
I know he gets a lot of heat. It's because it's the Darnell Nurse problem. He makes like $9 million and is not Quinn Hughes. So
Right.
it's like, okay, he's not a super elite defenseman. He's not a super offensive defenseman. But Eric Carlson's like 40 years old, and you can see how well he is still doing when you see him in Four Nations and stuff. It's like Letang, Carlson, the newer people are Makar and Quinn Hughes, and probably Heiskanen. It's like he's not that good. He will never be that good. But if he's your fourth best defenseman,
Yeah.
or maybe even fifth for the Panthers, dude, Seth Jones is going to be a valued asset to the team at number 5.
Yeah.
If Rantanen comes in and he's on line 2, even maybe, which is crazy to say, I would probably put him on line 1 with, but I mean, literally, you can have Barkov with Matthews and Reinhardt, and then have line 2 be whoever, or Reinhardt plays center, whatever it is. Like, I think that they do Barkov with Reinhardt and Verhage, actually. So then if you get Matthews with Rantanen, I mean, like, how good is this freaking team? And last year I called it's going to be Vegas versus Florida. That's this year, baby. Vegas versus Miami. Who's the biggest party city?
Yeah,
Let's go.
yeah.
So we'll see. But I do expect some big noise this week.
Okay.
Last time we're recording before the deadline is Friday, right? So
I
we'll probably
believe so. Yeah.
record after the deadline.
Yeah.
And actually, at this rate, we'll record on purpose after the deadline because that's crazy.
Yeah.
But okay, since we were a hair over an hour when I interrupted with all the trade talk.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay, so you got a stud or a scrub for me?
I'm going to go stud because it kind of goes well with your Pettersson sucks thing.
Okay.
Is this guy's probably owned in your league already, and the trade deadline's probably passed, or I don't know, maybe your league doesn't do it, but Dylan Holloway got real in the news because of the trade offer stuff that happened with the Blues in Edmonton.
Yeah.
But he's been pretty good this year. He's in our league. He's ranked 91.
Wow.
He's only in 54% roster. Center and a winger, and he's currently hot. He had a goal, assist, a goal, and an assist. And then today, he has done nothing so far, but it's still the first period.
Okay.
So he's currently hot. If you don't have him, he's worth a pickup. Since he's a center winger, this is the type of stuff we've talked about before where you want to play Pettersson because he's Pettersson. Bench Pettersson, play Holloway.
Yeah.
I run into it also with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He's been okay this year. Second half of the year, he's picked it up. But I bench Protas and like Rickard Rakell sometimes, and it's a mistake. Protas is awesome. Rakell's awesome. I've been beating the drum on Rickard Rakell for a while now. Yeah. Underrated. So is Dylan Holloway. He's not gonna blow your doors off. He's not your keeper. But if you've got a decision to make of who to play, Holloway has been putting up points in the last 5-6 games. So I would start him right now. He's hot. Yeah. So there's my stud.
Nice. I'll go stud, and I'm not sure how to say his last name, so forgive me. But Mason Lowry? Lowry?
Lowrider.
Yeah. Okay. So you had actually picked him up earlier this week, and I sent you a message like, "Oh, good pickup." You thought I was trying to give you some crap, but I was like, "No, that was legit, like a good pickup." He's actually been on my watch list for most of the season, probably. I don't think he's a rookie, but he's only been, he's pretty young, but just got some playing time, and with Charlie McAvoy being out indefinitely, this guy's taking his spot. He's going to get lots of playing time, lots of time on the power play. If you look at his stats, his plus minus, not great, but I think he's got like 13 power play points or something on the year. And he's only rostered in 25% of Yahoo leagues, and 22% of those picked him up last week. So he definitely felt the uptick just with the McAvoy injury. So defensemen this time of year, kind of hard to come by, especially ones that are going to be playing lots of power play time in our league. It's a little more offensively based as far as points, so you want defensemen that play on the power play. This guy was a good pickup. And he's still available in 75% of the leagues. So he's out there if you need, just that extra defenseman to kind of plug and play. And, he's going to be getting some major and a major uptick on playing time for sure. So Mason Lowry, go get him, pick him up, good pick. He's got lots of potential.
Yes. And it's funny, when you said that, it's because I'm losing this week, and it was my own fault, but I was so mad at Yahoo. Won the game, I remembered to fix it. 3 games in a row. Start active button, Leon Draisaitl bench.
Oof.
So one day I caught it, and I was like, whoa, because, puck drop's about to happen. And it's like, not to come up with excuses, because I am in first place, and I'm going to lose this week, but I made a pushback. It's like, I'm just, there's this weird thing at work where somebody's out on leave. So they're like, hey, could you help? And then, okay. So they're teaching me this new thing, and it doesn't affect fantasy whatsoever. It's just kind of like, my brain's just a little scattered. So I'm like, oh my God, it's 8 at night. The game's already started, And so Draisaitl's on my bench, goal and assist, sitting there doing nothing. and maybe Ehlers too. I have some good people that were just chilling,
Yeah.
and I'm like, so when you said nice D pickup, I thought I had D on the bench with an empty slot.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Yeah.
dude, you're asleep at the wheel. What are you doing? And so I was like, are you kidding me? But Lowry I did pick up on purpose because he was hyped up a little bit at the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
and he's playing well, but for fantasy, he's not so much. So when McAvoy went down, I said, well, who else are they going to play? The Bruins suck.
Right.
So I picked him up, and I got lucky that he's producing points. But I'm going to, along those lines of McAvoy getting hurt, I think that there is some madness to the Four Nations. You got to take it player by player. But there are people who either got hurt or they're banged up or they're just tired. And even a Dylan Larkin type, it's like hard for him to get going. Todd McCullough called him out in the media saying like he knows he should be better. We need better. Like,
Yeah.
okay, he's been carrying the team all year, but that's the point.
Right.
You have to carry the team. We're not very good, and so there's been some people that played in the Four Nations and they've been hot, like Raquel. And I think that was going back that he was my poster child for he got cut and he was playing, I'll show you, Tage Thompson a little bit, right? So there's been some people that now that it's over, who is riding the high after it that they're doing really well and who is slumping,
Yeah.
Same thing with the people with rest. Ovechkin comes back from rest. He's on fire. There's some other people that are coming out of the gate like they're still on vacay.
Yeah.
And so you just kind of got to look player by player. So here's a player who got cut from the roster and had a 2-week vacation, and it might have been what he needed to come back all fired up saying, I want to be on the Olympics because I wasn't on this team. Through February, only had 1 assist, no goals. Okay, after the Four Nations, in 1, 2, 3, 4 games, he's had 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 points in 4 games. Month of February, 1 assist. And he's had a multi-point game every single game since the break, except yesterday against Buffalo. This is in almost every league rostered, but play him if you got him. If you don't have a trade deadline, trade for him. Nick Suzuki.
Ooh, nice.
On fire since the break. And I didn't really notice it other than I am playing against him right now and have 250 points, and it's not going to be enough. Getting decimated. But, well, actually, I'm not. I'm losing by 15 points, but it's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
So Nick Suzuki is on fire since the break. Okay. Just read off his stats. If there's a chance to pick him up or trade him somehow, he's in 94% of leagues, so technically he's available to someone somewhere.
Yeah.
Get him. Because we've talked about that. If you're in a 6-team league where your team is stacked,
right,
you probably have Pettersson. You probably have, people like Malkin, people like Rantanen. If it's the playoffs and you have Rantanen, okay, don't drop him. But also, like, if you're in a 6-man league, go pick up Suzuki for a week and then go back on and pick him up.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have all these niche type of players that are out there, So think about it. That's all I got.
I like it. I'm also, my next one here is the last one I got, though, is also going to be a scrub, and it's in the same vein as Elias Pettersson. And I'm not sure what to do with these guys. Just hang on to them because of who they are, and you hope they turn it around. Because you can't drop them. But this person also has not scored since January 23rd. No goals, no assists in his last 12 games.
Wait.
Minus 15. He's 84% rostered in Yahoo leagues. Probably very well could have been my first round pick this
Does
year.
He play for the Edmonton Oilers?
No. The Nashville Predators.
Oh, rough.
Stamkos. Steven Stamkos. Going through one of the worst routes in his career. Like I said, no goals, no assists in the last 12 games, hasn't scored a goal in more than a month. Uh, and I don't know what to do with them. I play him when he's out there. Sometimes if I have another guy, because Stamkos is a center winger, so if I have another guy, uh, toss it up. I'm always thinking, you know what, man, he's been awful lately, but he could also put up a 2 power play goal game tonight. So what do
Well,
I?
you got Philip Forsberg, right?
Yeah,
So it's so tempting to say I got 2 power play points.
yeah. So it's kind of man, that the Stamkos, me drafting him first round this year has definitely made it a little tough for me this season. But I can't
That is,
drop him, and he is a player that I'm hoping just gets hot. Um, but right now he is not, and I don't want to drop him. Our trade deadline's passed, so I can't even trade him or try to do something with him. But yeah, so I went scrub, as in a lot of potential for the players. These players are big name guys, but they just haven't scored in a while. So Pettersson, Stamkos, scrubs. Don't drop them, but you can't start them unless you have an opening. But even then, sometimes, even then, with Stamkos getting no points and being negative 15, you're almost better not playing him because he's going to get you negative points if you do. So
it's
it's
possible.
it's kind of frustrating having Stammer on your team, and he has just been playing so awful. So I don't know if it's just I haven't really watched Predators games, so I don't know if he's a little banged up, going through something. If the team's just bad, they're not gelling, or I don't know what it is. But man, have they just been dry here lately? So
That's I don't know. I mean, he almost is bad enough to drop actually on your thing. It is a bummer you picked him first. I double checked.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
it was
because I
one,
had Forsberg, so I
two,
was hoping that I'd get the double whammy.
and everyone thought that. To be fair, no, I don't think there was as many people as I thought. Maybe with Marchessault and Stamkos, they were going to make a decent run.
Yeah.
Where they're probably not going to win the cup,
And
but
if I
like they
don't have
almost,
Forsberg, and Forsberg was my keeper, but
yeah,
if I don't have Forsberg, I don't know that I picked Stamkos there. But because I did, I was expecting, he had a good year last year, and I thought, okay, it's still Stamkos. He's still good. He's still going to be on the power play, getting 30 goals this year, and just tearing it up. But man, I don't know. You figure, what goes into that. Yes, it's a new team, so you think, okay, he's out to prove something because the Lightning didn't want him anymore, so he's going to go out there and show him that you should have kept me. I'm going to
yeah.
score 45 goals this year and just be lights out. Well,
And I
that
think a lot of people
didn't
thought that,
happen.
especially power play merchant, right?
Yeah,
On the team,
yeah.
it looked like on paper with
Oh, on paper,
Yossi
yeah,
and Marcelo that you said, okay, well, he'll probably have 15 power play goals with 30 goals on the year minimum.
yeah,
And it's like, okay, he could score 40 goals and have legitimately 20 power plays. Like, okay, that's a big pickup. So I can't make fun of you too much, except one more make fun of is the people picked after him. Now you can cherry pick.
yes,
Everyone's
yeah,
lucky in the draft, right? Like here you are with Ovechkin. That was a better pickup. There's some good people that outperformed probably. Jake Gensel is killing it.
mm,
So you can cherry pick.
yeah,
But number 14, Steven Stamkos. Number 15, Jack Eichel. Ooh, so that one, then Brady Kachuk, then Sam Reinhart.
yeah, yeah.
So
And
it
so
is a
maybe I would
little
have
rough.
picked Jack Eichel. I know I would have. I know I wouldn't have picked Sam Reinhart, just because again I'm not one of those. I, I mean, he's doing it again
Well,
this year, but
well, you're right though because Zach Hyman's right after him, and he did what you predicted. He
yeah,
scored 60 goals. That's never happened again.
yeah,
Sam Reinhart again. Is Barkov just that good?
yeah.
Now, I mean Hyman's
And this is a
playing
situation
with the
where,
even title. So,
yeah, this is a
but
situation where my philosophy didn't work out. Stamkos and Reinhardt. Who's the more proven player? Stamkos.
Stamkos. Yep.
So I was going with the safer pick. Plus, I had
Yep.
Forsberg. if I don't have Forsberg,
Yeah.
I
You
don't
don't have
know that I pick
Forsberg.
Stamkos. Who knows what happens there. But in the position that I was in, the fact that Stamkos has proven it more than Reinhart, and I had another player for the Predators, enticed me enough to pick him. And now, my team is 500, and I'm struggling a little bit. Now this week, I'm definitely putting
And
up some points because Ovechkin is outperforming. But you have these players that are like that, right? That
yeah,
uh, Stamkos can be. We're a couple weeks out from the playoffs. I'm not going to drop him. He could get hot. Stamkos could score a hat trick any game.
yeah. And you know what? Roman Yossi was taken 6 overall.
Yeah,
I feel like you would maybe grab him before you grab Stamkos because I think you had him last year when he had 90 points. No,
I don't think I did, but I mean he was up there as
the
one of
defenseman
the
though.
top
He's
five defensemen that you're gonna
yeah,
pick. So again, because I had Forsberg, and I don't know when I set my keeper deadline, but
yeah. And the keepers this year, by the way, for defensemen, Makar, Quinn Hughes, and Hedman can't be picked up.
yeah,
So Yossi is the number one defenseman available
yes,
for
yeah.
fantasy. In fact, I feel like maybe Miro Heiskanen was also a keeper, maybe not. No, he wasn't. But I mean,
But
3 of the top
he's one of
5
those
points.
top
Yeah,
five guys, top five power play defensemen that you would want. So
exactly.
yeah.
So, anyways, didn't mean to chirp you directly, but since you brought up Stamkos,
I chirp
I
myself on
will.
that because, but
Right.
just some
It's
of my
but,
thinking as to why I picked Stamkos was, had gone into the fact of who my keeper was, and
and it's hard because it's like he's not. He had a streak where he got hot, right? And Forsberg kind of turned the season around, right?
yeah,
But it's you might have frozen again. No, you're back. Okay, so it's hard to drop him because we talked about it with Kopitar and Malkin and now Pettersson. Pettersson's younger. I probably wouldn't drop him. But when Kopitar is more of a defensive forward and
yeah,
Malkin is a 2C, no matter how good he is, like it's still Crosby's line and
right,
Crosby's team. So it's a little easier to drop when those guys hang off. When Stamkos can play center winger, power play with one of your best players,
yeah,
and then, so it's a snowball effect. But I'm going to jump over real quick along that same vein. In our league, he's available. Don't pick him up.
okay,
But it's a good example of the name being the driver. So he's rostered in 57% of leagues, ranked 284 in our point system.
okay.
Um, he should be a drop. He shouldn't be in 57%
Jake DeBrus.
because, uh, good guess. Poor Jake. I'm always beating him up. But here's an example Jonathan Haberdew is only in 46%,
Okay.
and he's ranked 133.
Mm,
So the other guy was, what did I say, 285, and
yeah,
he's in 56% of leagues, something like that. Okay, here's who did I just say a second ago? Holloway. Holloway's rostered in 54%. He's ranked 91.
yeah,
So 57% rostered, ranked 285. What are you doing? Oh, because it's Alexis Lafreniere for the Rangers.
Rangers.
Okay, I feel like last year in the playoffs he proved he really is the player he can be. But whatever train wreck is happening in the Rangers organization, drop him.
Yeah,
JT Miller's cage rattle isn't working on him. Maybe they'll sneak into the playoffs and they could go Shesterkin
mm,
God mode and upset people and go to the finals even. On paper, they're so good. But not right now. You probably only have 2 or 3 or whatever weeks, 4 weeks max left in your fantasy league.
yeah,
You don't have time to be throwing in a winger who may or may not show up and is posting negative points 3 games in a row. Game before that, 0. And then there's 2 games in here with 2 games with 0 points, 3 games with negative points, and 2 games with 0.5 out of his last 7. So, like you're saying, joking about Stamkos, you could play nobody and your
and be
team would be
better.
better.
Yeah,
Drop, whatever, Lafreniere, however you pronounce
yeah,
it, who cares because he's not on your team. Give him the axe and go pick up one of these sleeper people like Holloway.
yeah.
Obviously, Suzuki's not a sleeper person, but Even Marchenko is only in 80% of leagues, and he's in the top 20 players in the whole league. The way our league does points, goalies get skewed.
Yeah.
So goalies that play every game, like the Hellebucks, even if they're not as good as Hellebuck, they get skewed to the top. So for Marchenko to be in 80% of leagues in the top 20 means he's in the top 10 forwards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Forget about Lafreniere. Drop him and go pick up someone else. There's 10 people available in your league that are
Better than,
hot right now.
yeah.
Pick them up.
Yep. Agreed. So,
Okay, so that's all I had for Stubs and Scrubs.
that's all I got.
And I know this week that we're wrapping up early-ish for us. We did okay, 90 minutes. Anything else you wanted to close with, or any trades we wanted to massage into the Red Wings roster?
No, I got nothing right now, but I am looking forward to next podcast. Just going over the real life trade deadline. See, I do think it'll be a busy one. So I'm kind of excited to see what's going to happen, who's going to be on the move, and what some of those fantasy implications are going to be.
Yes, definitely. That's always fun to talk about and how it plays out in real life. My dream is someone like a Pettersson. I feel like equally good, not as big of a noise trade would be a Cousins, and I've heard a rumor that the Red Wings are looking at Zadorov for the Bruins.
Okay.
Big Zadorov.
Yeah.
I would like that because we got some big, strong D that aren't good at hockey.
Yeah.
No offense, Wall and Sherratt. But if we had, well, they're fine, but they should be defenseman number 7, not number 2. So Edvinsson, Mo Seider, and Zadorov, I feel a lot stronger at a playoff run with somebody like that. A Cousins, a Kopp, a Comfer. Okay, with Larkin, now your centers are looking okay. So that's all I got. Let's rub the magic. Hope the Red Wings do something nice. No offense, Tarasenko, but you're probably gone. Good luck.
Yeah.
All right, man. That's all I got.
Sounds good. Make the first move, Conway.